Across the mountains and valleys of China, hidden among sheer cliffs and ancient forests, lie three sites where history, faith, and legend intertwine. They were carved in stone, built in devotion, and left behind to whisper their secrets to those who seek them. The Maijishan Grottoes, a towering sanctuary of forgotten monks and sacred art, suspended on the edge of an abyss. The Nankan Grottoes, a refuge of travelers and wanderers where spirits were called upon and prayers carved into the rock. And the Tomb of Zhuge Liang, final resting place of the sleeping dragon, a man whose mind shaped an empire, whose grave has never been disturbed, and whose presence still lingers in the mist. What compels people to carve, paint, and preserve memories in stone? What forces kept Zhuge Liang's tomb untouched for nearly 2 millennia? And why do stories persist that these sites still hold power? We're going there to find out. Join us as we travel to these mysterious places where faith meets history and where the past refuses to be forgotten. Welcome to Antiquities Explorer, your guide to historic places. Follow us to different countries as we search for ancient artifacts. If you too wish to explore the ancient past through travel, we'll help you plan where to go, what to see, and how best to enjoy what you encounter. In this series of the AE, you can accompany Tina and me on our trek through China, homeland of the ancient Han, Bo, Miao, Di, Weiji, Jiang, and Rao. Come on, let's go! After an amazing time exploring the ancient ruins in and around Xi'an, Tina and I headed west. We are heading out west into the western regions, into a territory called Gansu. This is an area that Tina has never been in before, and I certainly haven't. And we're going to go see some Buddhist caves out there, the Maijishan Grottoes, and I think they're going to be really interesting. Our first stop on this journey through sacred landscapes is Maiji Mountain, or Maijishan, as they say in Chinese. It's in the province of Gansu, where outposts existed along the Silk Road. As you can see, the terrain is becoming mountainous and gorgeous. I loved this part of the drive. One of the interesting things I noticed about Chinese highways going through mountains is that they're fairly straight. There's not a lot of winding, and the reason for that is because of tunnels. They've built hundreds of them, and it made the drive easier. Of course, we are on a toll road, which I'm sure helps to fund the public works, and there's very little traffic on it. That was nice too. But the reason for that is probably because of the cost. In China, food is cheap and hotels are cheap, but tolls are not. It cost about $28 to get from Xi'an to Maijishan. But it was faster and more convenient this way.
Maijishan, meaning Red Stag Mountain in Chinese, refers to a peak standing in the Xiaolongshan forest on the lower edge of the Qinli mountain range, approximately 466 feet, 142 meters high, and about 28 miles, 45 kilometers southeast of Tianshui.
The mountain earned its name due to its resemblance to a massive stack of wheat straw. Surrounded by dense vegetation and stunning natural scenery, it was regarded back in the days of the Warring States as the most picturesque place in the Qin territory. Later, its proximity to the Silk Road made it an appealing site for Buddhist monks, artisans, and painters who carved out caves, meditated, sculpted, and created murals over many centuries. Buddhist rock-cut cave art first emerged in India before spreading to China via Central Asia along the Silk Road. The origins of the Maijishan Grottoes stretch back over 1,600 years, to the tumultuous days of the so-called 16 barbarian states of the late 4th and early 5th centuries. According to historical texts, including a book called The Biographies of Eminent Monks, the site became a haven for spiritual seekers as early as 402, when two revered monks, Tanhong and Shuanggao, meditated there with more than 300 disciples. Over the next few centuries, many grottos were carved, with its most prolific periods of artistic activity occurring during the reigns of the Northern Wei, Western Wei, and Northern Zhou dynasties. go up here. Oh, look at it up there. I'm so excited.
Maijishan takes 80 CNY, but to get here, must take a tram. It costs 45 CNY.
Here we are at Maijishan Grottoes. Do you see this? We're going up there. This is one of the 4 main grottos in China, Buddhist caves. There are 4 major ones. The Longmen Grottoes, we saw that in an earlier episode. Mogao Caves, Yonggang, and this one, Maijishan. So, let's go up. Rarely does one encounter a site like the Maijishan Grottoes, where caves and statues cling to sheer cliffs, suspended in defiance of gravity. This bold and dramatic feature is one of the hallmarks of Maijishan, where plank paths precariously trace the cliffside, daring visitors to traverse them in order to access the caves. Okay. Oh, it's amazing. Set against a tranquil landscape of lush greenery and rugged cliffs, the grottos form a breathtaking tableau where nature and artistry combine. The journey along these hanging walkways is not for the faint-hearted, and it offers an exhilarating experience, no doubt purposely designed so. The sculptures of Maijishan, all Buddhist, provide invaluable insights into the evolution of Chinese art and the development of Buddhism. The earliest works display a remarkable fusion of Indian, Central Asian, and Chinese artistic traditions, a testament to the cultural exchanges that flourished along the Silk Road. Over time, the art evolved to embrace a distinctly Chinese style, as local artisans created sculptures and murals of profound originality and beauty. Cave number 148. This is one of the earlier caves. Keep in mind here that all of the caves have been refurbished over and over again over time. They'd be carved originally in an early period, and then they'd be repainted and painted again to refresh them. It was believed, in fact, that the paint, rejuvenating the paint, rejuvenated the power of the statue, so that's why they constantly refurbished it. But this is one of the early ones. It's from the Northern Wei period. There were some caves here originally made in the later Qin, not the Qin we've been talking about, the later Qin of the 16th States period, just prior to this, and then a bunch in the Northern Wei period, very early caves here. And this is one of those early ones, and you can see the Buddha here, and attended by his bodhisattvas with an altar before, and pretty cool. Notice that the Northern Wei art displays a mix of Indian, Central Asian, and Chinese styles. The figures are slim and ethereal, with benevolent expressions on their faces. Here on the side of the western cliff is a giant Buddha and an attending bodhisattva, also from the Northern Wei period. In those early days, this would have been the main feature of Maijishan, but they outdid it later with another one on the other side. Western Wei figures continue to exhibit the same designs as we see in the Northern Wei period. The serene expressions and fluid forms of these figures seem to breathe life into the very clay they inhabit. This is Cave 60, also from Western Wei. It's depicting the Buddha here in an interesting pose. You see his foot up on top like that, and his hands in this, actually in this position. That denotes fearlessness, okay, to give to the person, of course, that comes here. Fearlessness, power in that regard. And what's interesting about all of these sculptures is the stone that this mountain is made out of is too soft really to hold big statues on the side. They do it a little bit. You saw the big ones over there. But a lot of these are clay stucco. So they do stucco modeling with clay to make a lot of these statues, and that's how this one was made. This actually looks like stucco modeling too. I don't think this is carved out of the side of the cliff. I think these are clay model stucco work here. How did they get the clay to stick? The smaller figures were simply modeled in solid clay, but others were constructed first with a wooden framework, reinforced with materials like hemp, reeds, and wheat husks, and then coated with sculpted clay. A new style emerged in the Northern Zhou period, and as you can see, the sculptures look more plump and round. Here we are on the eastern cliff now, and we're looking at a giant Buddha about 42 feet tall. That's about 13 meters, attended by 2 bodhisattvas. This was created during the Sui dynasty. It's hard to tell from here, but the Buddha is sitting. Only the Buddha is ever depicted on a throne, as I understand it. The 7 Buddha Pavilion, Cave 9, on the eastern face of the Maijishan Cliff, is a striking example of artistic fusion, blending influences from multiple historical periods. While the majority of the sculptures reflect the northern Zhou style, subtle traces of the much later Song, Ming, and Qing dynasties are also evident. Here, Buddha figures are depicted with rounded foreheads and high nose ridges, seated in the Padmasana posture on lotus thrones. These figures are flanked by 2 disciples, either 2 bodhisattvas or Kashyapa and Ananda. The representations of Kashyapa and Ananda in this cave are particularly notable. The artisans took care to emphasize their non-Chinese origins, portraying them with deep-set eyes and prominent arched noses, characteristics associated with their Indian heritage. Standing with their hands clasped, they appear to listen to the Buddha's teachings with deep reverence and humility. We're up at the very top now. Here at the heart of the mountain, time stands still, and the echoes of devotion, artistry, and history resonate through every carved niche and painted surface. And for those of you who are afraid of heights, don't look down. The sculptural tradition at Maijishan reached a remarkable level during the Sui and Tang dynasties, a period marked by extraordinary refinement in Buddhist imagery. Cave 5 preserves significant remnants from this era. Gate guardians stand on either side of the niches of Cave 5 to ward off thieves or evil spirits. The Buddha and Bodhisattva figures in the niches, imbued with dignity and a radiance, were made in the Sui and Tang periods, with some additional artwork painted in the much later Ming dynasty.
Oh, Amitabha, yeah.
Actual people than Amitabha. I think actual people more Amitabha than here.
A cataclysmic earthquake in 734 split the grottos into eastern and western sections, destroying part of the middle area of the mountain. I certainly hope one doesn't happen right now.
Sheer cliff here.
In 759, the Tang dynasty poet Du Fu came here. He wrote a poem called Mountain Temples, which is believed to describe this place. There are few monks left in these remote shrines, and in the wilderness the narrow paths are high. The musk deer sleep among the stones and bamboo. The cockatoos peck at the golden peaches. Streams trickle down among the paths. Across the overhanging cliff, the cells are ranged, the tiered chambers reaching to the very peak. And for 100 li, that's about 30 miles, one can make out the smallest thing. Today, the Maijishan complex houses 194 caves, 54 in the east and 140 in the west, preserving 7,200 sculptures and over 10,000 square feet, 1,000 square meters, of murals. The sculptures and murals within the caves of Maijishan provide a vivid and immersive vision of Chinese Buddhism as it grew and changed through the centuries. A historian doesn't see these grottos merely as a sanctuary of faith, but as masterpieces of storytelling and artistic expression. Within their depths lies an invaluable archive for the study of rock-cut architecture, sculpture, mural painting, and religious beliefs. I highly recommend visiting this place. Maijishan stands as a testament to human ingenuity and represents an attempt to preserve belief, honor, and cultural identity across time. Its towering cliffs, adorned with masterpieces from bygone eras, whisper secrets of a world where cultures met and flourished under the watchful gaze of Maijishan's Buddhas. Our next stop is Hanzhong, to the south of here, where we will observe a different way that people try to keep history alive through a sacred space. Hanzhong is a city steeped in history and culture, its legacy stretching across centuries. Among its many historical treasures, it is home to the Tomb of Zhuge Liang, honoring the renowned diplomat and explorer who pioneered the Silk Road. But Hanzhong is most famously known as the early stronghold of the Kingdom of Han Shu during the Three Kingdoms period, 220 to 280 CE. In recent years, the Mianshen County Museum has gained widespread recognition for its dedication to preserving and promoting the rich heritage of the Three Kingdoms. Hanzhong's landscape is dotted with relics from that tumultuous era. Among these are the tomb of Ma Chao, the final resting place of the fearless Han Shu general, and the ancient battlefields of Mount Dingjun and Mount Tiandang, where pivotal conflicts once raged. Also preserved is the ancient Yangping Pass, a strategically vital fortification that played a crucial role in military campaigns of the time. Hanzhong was a fiercely contested territory. It served as the primary battleground between the rival states of Shuhan and Zawei. Positioned along a crucial passage between the Central Plain and the Sichuan Basin, control of Hanzhong was pivotal for any army seeking to dominate the region. During this turbulent era, the mighty warlord Cao Cao lost his grip on Hanzhong to another warlord named Liu Bei, who founded the Kingdom of Shuhan. A famous saying from the time reflects its importance. Whoever controls Dingjun Mountain controls Hanzhong, and whoever controls Hanzhong controls the empire. But where is Dingjun Mountain? This legendary battleground lies in Mianshen, a town with a history spanning more than 2,000 years. Nestled beneath the mountain sits Wuhou Tomb, the final resting place of Zhuge Liang, the revered chancellor of the Shuhan Kingdom. So we just stopped at a service station to get something to eat. There was no cooked food, so we got some snacks for the road. These are some Chinese snacks. Egg white peanuts. These are some spicy tofu sticks. Noodles. Ting Ting's gonna make some noodles, I guess, in some hot water. She says these are good. Hongti Shakima?
Yeah.
I think there's some kind of rice cake or something. I don't know. We'll try it out.
It's delicious.
She says delicious. Zhuge Liang, also known by his courtesy name Kong Ming, was not only a brilliant statesman, but also a master strategist and inventor. Living through the twilight of the Eastern Han Dynasty and into the Three Kingdoms period, he served as Imperial Chancellor of Shuhan from its establishment in 221, and later as regent from 223 until his death in 234. Zhuge Liang's intellect was legendary even before he entered the political arena. While still living in seclusion, he gained a formidable reputation as a scholar and tactician, earning the moniker Wolong, or Fulong, both meaning sleeping dragon, a testament to the untapped brilliance he would later unleash upon the battlefield. Feels good today. Where do we buy?
就是买票是在这个线上可以买吧？线上买也要去换票。哦，我知道了。
Right there? Okay. Well, there's Zhuge Liang's statue. Zhuge Liang, who held the title Marquis Wu, Wu Ho, hence the name of the tomb, conferred by Emperor Liu Shan, dedicated his life to the service of Shuhan, tirelessly working toward the revival of the Han Dynasty. His wisdom, integrity, and unwavering loyalty earned him deep respect, not only from emperors and officials, but also from the common people.
The Wuhou Temple stands as a huge architectural complex, having undergone numerous restorations. The present form preserves the artistic and architectural styles of the Ming and Qing dynasties.
And now we are at Wuhou Tombs. It takes 60 CNY, about $9.
When Zhuge Liang passed away in 234, the people of Han Shu deeply mourned his loss, and many called for the construction of a memorial temple in his honor. However, according to the Confucian principles of the time, temples were reserved exclusively for emperors, making an official shrine for Zhuge Liang inappropriate under Han-era traditions. With no formal place for worship, the people took it upon themselves to hold private memorial ceremonies for him in marketplaces and along roadsides. It was not until 263, at the insistence of his ministers, that Liu Shan finally authorized the construction of a temple for Zhuge Liang. The chosen location was right here, and this temple became the first of many shrines dedicated to him.
Have a lot of people do so have a record their name.
Oh, so the names of all the people that helped to make this bell around here. Here's Zhuge Liang training the soldiers. This is a building of the Han fortress. There he is on the hill. In order to encourage the soldiers to obey commands, Zhuge Liang led military officials and officers to worship the previous Piaoji general Ma Chao and motivate the generals and soldiers for the northern expedition.
Before his death in 234, during the 5th Northern Expedition, he made his final wishes clear. He was to be buried at Mount Dingjun, with only enough space for his coffin. He requested to be dressed in the very clothes he wore at the time of his passing, and ordered that no valuables, ornaments, or decorative objects be placed within his tomb. His wish was not for material grandeur, but for simplicity.
This is the occasion of his death. And there they are before his burial mound. You want to go see the real one? Okay, let's go. There it is.
Enclosed by brick walls, the tomb is marked by a simple pavilion, within which stands a stone tablet engraved with the words, "The Tomb of Marquis Zhuge Liang."
Zhuge Liang was a statesman, an inventor, and a brilliant strategist, made famous mostly in a book called The Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which was published sometime later. But the Three Kingdoms period is what followed the Han Dynasty. He lived during the later years of the Eastern Han Dynasty and then during the beginning of the Three Kingdoms period. And he served as the imperial chancellor of the King Liu Shan of the Shu Han Kingdom, and then even was made regent a little bit later. And Zhuge Liang is known for his great exploits in battle and all of his great strategies. There's a famous story that I like to tell about him where, now this is from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms book. Don't know how true this is, it's a legend. But just to give you an example of kind of strategies that he would employ. There was an occasion where he and his army were encamped on one side of a river, and there was another army on the other side of the river. But Zhuge Liang's army, the archers had run out of ammo. There are no more arrows. So he told the men to make all these straw warriors, and then the enemy army started shooting at them with arrows from across the river and filled them all with arrows. And then Zhuge Liang said, okay, collect all the arrows up, and now the men were supplied again. So these are the kinds of stories we get about Zhuge Liang. Anyway, see this tree here? It grew here after his death, but they didn't cut it down. Why not? Because every autumn it turns yellow. And Zhuge Liang's wife, her name Lady Huang, her name means yellow. So they thought of it as maybe his wife, her spirit is here. And so they allow the tree to continue to be here. If the stories are all true, his body is under there. And no, it has not been excavated. They think this would be desecrating the grave.
The tomb is encircled by white marble guardrails, adorned with 35 relief carvings, each vividly depicting scenes from Zhuge Liang's life.
Yeah, there are several stelas that were put up here in various centuries after his death from different times. We found one from the Ming and the Qing, and there appear to be some earlier ones here too. But they're worn, so it's hard to read them.
Oh yes, more
Oh, morality. Oh, the virtues. Oh, they extol the virtues of Zhuge Liang. This place is generally small, and I think it's overpriced, but it is cool to come here and see the tomb. There's another temple in Chengdu, and everyone goes to that one, the Chengdu Temple, Wuhou Temple. And it was built a little bit later than this one, so this is the original temple for him, and this is the actual tomb. Whereas in Chengdu, which of course was the big main city, for the kingdom. That's where they honor him the most. But it isn't the actual place that he died. This is in Hanzhong.
This is part of the temple.
Built 50 years before the more famous Wuhou Temple in Chengdu, the Hanzhong Shrine remains a solemn and historically significant tribute to the revered strategist. In front of the worship hall is the weaponry gate, where ancient officials once left their weapons, clothing, and hats before entering the temple to pay homage to Zhuge Liang. Beyond the threshold lies the worship hall and main hall, where rows of stone tablets line the sides, inscribed with poetry composed by literary figures from various dynasties. Among them, works by the renowned poets Li Shangyin of the Tang Dynasty and Lu You of the Song Dynasty. In later centuries, legend elevated Zhuge Liang to near mythical status, portraying him as a figure of supernatural intelligence and divine foresight. Though these stories may be exaggerated, they reflect the immense admiration he commanded throughout history. At the heart of the main hall stands a statue of Zhuge Liang, exuding an aura of wisdom and composure.
All right, so apparently this is part of a large tree that was planted when Zhuge Liang died. It's all that's left of it, and it's now petrified. And this tree, which is still here, is 1,700 years old, a cypress tree. And that would put it right around the time of Zhuge Liang. So I guess this is another one that they planted, but this one has survived.
Unlike many burial sites of historical figures, Zhuge Liang's tomb has remained remarkably undisturbed for 1,800 years. Unlike the grand mausoleums of emperors and warlords, which attracted tomb robbers eager for treasures, Zhuge Liang's instructions ensured that his final resting place would not become a target for looters. Even in death, Zhuge Liang commanded immense reverence, not only from his own people, but from his former enemies as well. When Wei general Zhang Hui led an invasion of Hanshu in 263, he passed by here and stopped to pay his respects. He even issued a strict order prohibiting his troops from farming or logging anywhere near Zhuge Liang's tomb, a testament to the profound respect he had for him. Despite the well-documented location of Zhuge Liang's grave, legends and speculation have persisted for centuries. Some believe that Zhuge Liang, foreseeing the possibility of grave robbers, intentionally created a decoy burial mound to mislead any would-be intruders. While there's no historical evidence to confirm this, the presence of multiple Wuhou suspicion tombs has fueled intrigue over the centuries.
Some very old stelas that were erected. They eroded quite a bit, weathered away.
Even in death, Zhuge Liang's legend lives on, shrouded in mystery, but preserved in history and revered by all who walk the path of the sleeping dragon. Our next stop is Nankan Grottoes, a breathtaking historical site in Bazhong, Sichuan. Carved into the rugged cliffs, this remarkable complex consists of 179 grottos, housing nearly 2,700 painted Buddhist statues.
The origins of Nankan trace back to the early 7th century, likely spurred by increasing traffic along the Micang route, a vital trade and travel corridor linking Xi'an to the north and Chengdu to the south.
Over the centuries, the grottos became a sanctuary for weary travelers, some of whom were government officials, artists, and scholars, while others were refugees escaping political upheaval during the reigns of emperors Xuanzong and Shizong of the Tang Dynasty. These visitors, drawn to the site's mystical atmosphere, sought solace and inspiration amid its ancient carvings. The site is located within walking distance of Bazhong's city center.
Oh, right up there is Nankan Grottoes. So beautiful. Takes us 40 CNY, about $6.
Despite centuries of exposure, much of the site remains remarkably well preserved, thanks to protective wooden-framed shelters that were constructed over time to shield the sculptures from the elements. The statues were also periodically repainted, not just for aesthetic purposes, but to maintain their spiritual potency.
Here we are at Nankan Grottoes in Bajong, also known as the Southern Cliff Buddhist sculptures. Most of the sculptures you see here on the mountain were carved out between the 7th and 9th century, so this would be during the Tang Dynasty, and we're going to take a look around.
Unlike Maijishan's extensive use of clay, Nankan's figures were stone carved. While both sites represent Buddhist devotion and Silk Road artistic exchanges, Maijishan is notable for its cliffside architecture high above the ground, whereas Nankan stands out for its narrative carvings and spiritual folklore.
This here is called the Yanwu Memorial Tablet. What this commemorates is the naming of the monastery that's near here, the Nankan Monastery. They named it the Guangfu Monastery, and it was the idea of an official named Yanwu. He was demoted. He worked under Emperor Suzong. And this was during the time where he was demoted, but he got permission from the emperor to name the monastery, and this is commemorating that, and they made an inscription, but the inscription fell into disrepair. It was originally written in 760. About a century later, they wrote a new one. Just shows that after 100 years already, the place needed sprucing up, and that's what this is all about. This pond here is called the Ink Pond of Dufu. Dufu was a poet. We're going to go visit his home later. He lived in what is now Chengdu, but he came here to visit Yanwu, hung out at the pond, and apparently Yanwu enlarged the pond after he left because he wanted to remember his fond memories with his friend. Got to support your cultural heritage, folks. Here we are outside of Cave 25, also known as the Laojun Cave, because there was a statue here of Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism. But the big one you see up above there, that's a bodhisattva by the name of Kishigarbha. People came to worship him here. But this cave is famous because literary visitors came here and inscribed pieces of poetry on the walls all over the place. Two very famous poets from the latter half of the 8th century, Yan Wu and Shi Jun, put poems here. These poems are available, published elsewhere too, but they are here on the cave. This is Shanmen Rock, and that's a depiction of Avalokiteshvara. It's believed to be the first gate fallen down from heaven to Nankan, according to legend. And apparently the Buddha, Shakyamuni, told people to erect a statue of Avalokiteshvara here. Wow, look at that. This is called the Giant Buddha Cave area. The big Buddha there that you see, that's niche number 103. That was created in 877. And it became the prime visual focus of the site from that point forward. Right below him is niche number 71, and to the right of that is niche number 77. And outside of those niches are inscriptions. You can see the inscriptions just to the right of each one. And they are made by an official named Li Sihong, who funded repair work there in 887. He commissioned an artist named Zhang Wanyu to do it. He actually restored 205 images across 6 niches, all in this general vicinity here. But the inscriptions are on those 2 niches. The restoration work also included representations of Li Sihong himself and Zhang Wanyu, the artist. And that's in niche number 74, which is the small one just below niche 77, okay? And that is, there's 3 people there. Li Sihong is one, Zhang Wanyu, the artist, is the other. I'm not sure who the third person is. I think it's the Buddha with the two of them on each side. Yeah.
Beyond its artistic and religious significance, the site also carried an air of mysticism. One of the greatest allures of Nankan Grottoes was its perceived ancient power, amplified by the presence of a revered old cedar tree, which was believed to possess supernatural properties. Over the centuries, anecdotal tales circulated about visitors who had experienced miraculous assistance after seeking blessings at Nankan, solidifying its reputation as a place of spiritual refuge and mystical energy. Even today, the Southern Cliff Buddhist sculptures continue to inspire awe, their silent, time-worn figures standing as sentinels of history, guardians of a legacy shaped by devotion, artistry, and the enduring human quest for divine connection.
This is called Yunping Corridor, and it basically goes across the front of the grottos. It was built in ancient times to protect the grottos, and you can still see some of the work here, although it's weird they let you step on it. This building, which was built in the Qing dynasty, so it's later, is dedicated to an ancient doctor, a physician named Sun Simiao. He lived in the late 500s, early 600s, and he was quite adept, they say, and this hall is dedicated to him. I guess he was a pioneer in acupuncture and moxibustion. But the building itself is not ancient, even though he is. Many people pray to him?
The people have been cured.
Are those 7 people who were cured?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, I hear stories like that all the time. There's a lot of them about Jesus too. And Mary and apostles and, everybody loves to tell those stories. Yeah. So these are the tomb grottos. Tomb grottos are grottos that actually are tombs. The dead were buried. There are 27 tomb grottos, all from the Song dynasty, so this is a bit later than what we're interested in here, but anyway.
Our next episode may be the most exciting yet. The ancient site of Sanxingdui has been in the news practically every year for the amazing artifacts that have been found there. Well, next time we are going there to see the remains for ourselves, as well as to its sister site of Jinsha, to find out more about the enigmatic ancient kingdom of Shu. Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe.